the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rofh Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Fourth ID troops seize firearms and IEDs, and medic surrenders in Mindanao operations. Dollar turns over 400,000 pesos livelihood aid to former rebels in Misamis Oriental. 10-day voter registration for BSKE starts. DOTR announces installation of more cashless turnstiles at MRT3.
Hello to everyone, especially to our troops at Camp Emilio Ginaldo in Quezon City. Today is Friday, August 1, and this is AFP Committee News, your source for the updates on the armed forces and other developments across the country. I am Rofh Suzon-Abay here to bring you today's story.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
For the brief overview of our news, troops of the 4th Infantry Division intensified military operations in northern Mindanao and Caraga, seizing firearms, improvised explosive devices, and war material, while a new People's Army medic surrendered recently. Soldiers recovered M16 rifles and combat gear in clashes in Gingoog City, while a civilian in Agusan del Sur turned over IEDs discovered in a remote area. The surrendering medic cited hunger, injuries, and relentless military pressure as reasons for abandoning the armed struggle. 4th ID Commander Major General Michel Anayron Jr. reaffirmed the Army's commitment in dismantling insurgent threats and urged the others to return to the law.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The Department of Labor and Employment awarded a 400,000 pesos rice retailing livelihood package to the Anlag Ani Tapukanan Consumers Cooperative, composed of former rebels under the 58th Infantry Battalion in Claveria, Misamis Oriental yesterday. Dole Livelihood focal person Tyrone Cervantes led the turnover, with local officials and 58th IB Commander Lieutenant Colonel Leoncito Grezulia Jr. expressing gratitude and support for the reintegration program. The event also featured a financial literacy lecture to help beneficiaries sustain the cooperative's Bigasan project. Moreover, Lieutenant Colonel Grezulia urged the active insurgents to return to the fold of the law.
Armed Forces Radio.
Let us hear more updates from Shaira about Philippine Navy delivers fresh water to thirsty Panguan Island residents.
Yes, good afternoon. The Philippine Navy continues to deliver clean drinking water to residents of remote Panguan Island, Tawi-Tawi through the BRP General Mariano Alvarez PS-176. While most parts of the country experience heavy rainfall and overflowing reservoir, the Bajau community on Panguan Island remains without access to fresh water. In line with its maritime border patrols, the Navy ship regularly visits the island, providing essential water supplies to both local residents and personnel stationed at Naval Station Monitoring Panguan. This humanitarian effort highlights the Navy's commitment in supporting vulnerable communities in far-flung coastal areas. This is Shai Rivera reporting for AFP Community News, One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you so much, Shaira.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
Government troops from the 58th and 23rd Infantry Battalions clashed with about 10 communist terrorist group members during a strike operation in Sitio Dumagook, Barangay Lawaan, Gingoog City yesterday. The 10-minute firefight forced the rebels, believed to be under alias Jaquem of Sub-Regional Committee 1 of the North Central Mindanao Regional Committee, to withdraw, leaving behind an M16 rifle, loaded magazine in a backpack. Follow-up operations and loudspeaker campaigns continue to track the fleeing rebels and inform residents of ongoing efforts. Commanders Lieutenant Colonel Leoncito Grezulia Jr. and Brigadier General Adolfo Espuelas Jr. praised the troops and urged the remaining CTG members to surrender and rejoin the society.
DWDD Armed Armed Forces News.
On the other hand, the Philippines is prioritizing drones and unmanned surface vessels under its revitalized self-reliant defense posture to strengthen defense through asymmetric warfare. At the first SRDP Forum, Department of National Defense Assistant Secretary Augusto Gaite said unmanned systems offer strategic edge despite limited conventional capabilities, while experts highlighted their dual-use potential for military and disaster response. Funding for R&D and private sector investment remain key challenges, but officials urge the local industries and academia to actively participate. The SRDP Revitalization Act aims to harness the Filipino talent and reduce the dependence on foreign defense suppliers.
Armed Forces Radio.
And now some information from Jai about Philippines and Singapore hold 8th Defense Policy Dialogue.
Rofh, the Department of National Defense, led by Assistant Secretary Marita Ayoro, hosted the 8th Philippine-Singapore Defense Policy Dialogue at Bohol. Singapore's delegation joined Philippine officials in reviewing defense cooperation under the 2024 Memorandum of Understanding. The dialogue tackled regional issues, including the West Philippine Sea and threats to maritime infrastructure. Both sides advanced discussion on urban warfare training, C-130 maintenance, and a possible visiting forces agreement. They also reaffirmed commitment to joint efforts within the ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting and ADMM Plus frameworks. This is Jai reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Jai.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
Newly appointed Army Chief Lieutenant General Antonio Navarrete vowed to focus on developing the Army's most vital asset, its soldiers, during his assumption speech at Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City yesterday. He outlined a 5-point command guidance centered on personnel, morale, health, education, and finances to prepare troops for modern warfare. Lieutenant General Navarrete emphasized investing in soldiers' growth and welfare, declaring that the troops are not just part of the force because they are the force. He pledged to lead with a people-first approach, ensuring the Army's strength lies in empowered and resilient personnel.
DWDD National
For our
News.
national news, the continued decline in rice prices could pull inflation lower to 0.5% in July, according to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Consumer price growth was forecast to hit 0.5 to 1.3% in July, lower than the 1.4% recorded a month earlier. Upward price pressures for the month are likely to be driven by higher meat and vegetable prices, partly due to unfavorable weather conditions, increased electricity rates, elevated domestic fuel costs, and the depreciation of the peso. However, BSP explained that these price pressures could be partially offset by the continued decline in rice prices.
Armed Forces Radio.
More updates from GU. 202nd Infantry Brigade earns top honors from Red Cross for blood donation efforts.
Yes, Rofh, the 202nd Infantry Brigade, led by Colonel Ernest John C. Adloc, received top honors from the Philippine Red Cross Laguna chapter during the blood donors recognition ceremony held at Cultural Center of Laguna. The unit earned a Scroll of Honor and a Gold category certificate for donating 85 bags of blood in 2024. Colonel Hadlock accepted the awards and reaffirmed the brigade's commitment to humanitarian service. The event recognized the collective efforts of civic groups, institutions, and uniformed personnel in promoting voluntary blood donation. This is Gio reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Gio.
DWDD National News.
The Commission on Elections starts today the voter registration for the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, despite the possibility of a poll postponement. COMELEC Chairperson George Garcia urged all eligible voters, especially the youth, to register in order to be able to vote on December 1. The registration will run until August 10. Garcia said the COMELEC is expecting about 1 million new registrants.
DWDD National News.
Interior and Local Government Secretary John Vic Remulla said the anti-drug campaign under President Marcos has delivered more results. This is despite the government's strict policy on the observance of human rights in law enforcement operations. Remulla added the administration has ushered in a new era in the campaign against illegal drugs, one that is grounded in accountability, science, and rule of law without resorting to killings. The DILG chief emphasized that they prioritize eliminating corrupt practices within the police force as there is no reward system under the Marcos administration.
Armed Forces Radio.
Let us hear more from Mel Joy of First CRG about security stakeholders unite in Tarlac to forge stronger partnerships.
Yes, Rofh, a security consultation meeting was held at Patrol Hall, Tarlac Police Provincial Office, Camp Macabolos to bolster public-private collaboration and ensure lasting peace and security. Carrying the theme Bridging Gaps, Forging Partnerships, the event brought together key players from the military, law enforcement, government agencies, and the private security sector, particularly those safeguarding critical infrastructures in the region. The meeting was led by Brigadier General Cesar A. Molina, Philippine Army, commander of the 702nd Infantry Brigade, along with Colonel Charles D. Z. Castillo, Philippine Army, Deputy Brigade Commander, and Lieutenant Colonel Hernani B. Martin, ARM, General Staff Corps, Philippine Army, Commanding Officer of the 3rd Mechanized Infantry Makatarungan Battalion, Armor Pambato Division, Philippine Army. Also in attendance were Director Ulysses Untalan, Regional Director of the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, Region 3, Police Lieutenant Colonel Romualdo Andres, Deputy Provincial Director for Operations of the Tarlac Police Provincial Office, and representatives from various government agencies and private security sector. Discussions centered on key areas such as public safety, protection of critical infrastructure, and emerging the external threats. The consultation emphasized the need for enhanced coordination, joint action plans, and a whole-of-nation approach. The event concluded with a message of support from Honorable Henry P. Cruz, board member and chairman of the Committee on Peace and Order and Public Safety of Tarlac Province. He underscored the significance of unity and sustained collaboration in building safer, more resilient communities. This initiative marks a vital step forward in strengthening the province's security ecosystem through collective vigilance and proactive partnership. This is Meljo Inesio Arroco reporting for AFP Community News. One AFP for stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Meljoy of First CRG.
DWDD National News.
The Department of Transportation announced the installation of more cashless turnstiles in MRT3 stations. The initiative aims to facilitate digital fare payments and aligns with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s directive to modernize public transport systems. DOTR said the move is in response to the President's order to make it easier for passengers to pay for MRT rides using their phone and credit or debit cards, and to reduce queues for beep cards and single journey tickets. 2 additional contactless turnstiles have been installed at the Ayala and Cubao stations, while all other MRT3 stops now feature at least one cashless gate per entrance and exit.
DWDD National News.
Starting September, the Social Security system will roll out a pension reform program, which will implement a 3-year increase in pensions for all SSS pensioners. The pension increases will be introduced in 3 stages over 3 years. In September 2025, retirement and disability pensioners as of August 31 will receive a 10% increase, and death or survivor pensioners will receive a 5% increase. The same increase would be implemented by September 2026 and 2027. Once fully implemented, total increases will amount to approximately 30% for retirement and disability pensioners and 16% for death and survivor pensioners.
Armed Forces Radio.
From our report on the ground, let us hear the report of Spencer Ross about 11th Ave joins coastal cleanup in Lanao del Norte.
Rofh, Charlie Battery of the 11th Field Artillery Battalion and other agencies conducted a coastal cleanup drive at Jamboree Bridge in Bacolod, Lanao del Norte. The activity, joined by military units, local government offices, and youth groups, aimed to raise environmental awareness and boost community resilience. Coordinated by LGU Bacolod Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office and the 52nd Mechanized Infantry Battalion, the event collected bags of waste from coastal areas. The cleanup drive highlighted the importance of unity in protecting the environment. This is Spencer, reporting for AFP Community News. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Spencer Ross.
DWDD National News.
Meanwhile, the functional literacy rate of the Philippines remained low at 70.8% in 2024, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. However, National Statistician Claire Dennis Mapa said this was the highest score since they revised the definition of basic and functional literacy. Meanwhile, the basic literacy rate is at 90% among 5 years old and over, while it is 93.1% among those 10 to 64 years of age. The basic literacy rate was highest in Central Luzon, while the lowest was in Babang Samoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao.
DWDD National News.
The Philippines is ready to join a United Nations-led peacekeeping force in Gaza as it supports efforts to resolve the Palestine issue peacefully. Ambassador Antonio Lagdameo said the Philippines reiterates its enduring support and cooperation in working together and committing in ending war, upholding justice, and respecting human rights. The Department of Foreign Affairs said the Philippines reiterated support for all efforts that will establish a definitive path toward resolving the Palestine issue peacefully and realizing the two-state solution, grounded in international law and relevant in UN resolutions.
Armed Forces Radio.
On the other line, let's hear more from Jim Boy about 79 IB strengthens peace partnership with Calatrava LGU.
The 79th Infantry Masaligan Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel Eric B. Alfonso, paid a courtesy call to Calatrava Mayor Marilyn Bebe Era to reinforcement collaboration on peace and development effort. Both leaders discussed joint strategies to address community concern, especially in insurgency-affected areas. Lieutenant Colonel Alfonso assured the local government unit of the battalion's full support in building safe and resilient communities. The 79 IB remain committed to its mission to sustaining peace and promoting exclusive progress in Northern Negros. This is Jimboy reporting for AFP Community News. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Jimboy.
DWDD National News.
The Department of Justice said it has sought assistance from the Japanese government to conduct further DNA testing on the alleged human remains recovered from Taal Lake. These are believed to be linked to the case of the missing Sabongeros. The move comes after local forensic experts failed to extract a viable DNA profile from the specimens retrieved from the lake. The DOJ emphasized that the Marcos administration remains committed in pursuing justice in the high-profile disappearance, which have remained unresolved for over 2 years.
DWDD National News.
The brothers of whistleblower Julie Patidongan, believed to be the missing links in the probe on the kidnapping and disappearance of Sabongeros, are now under the custody of the Philippine National Police. PNP spokesperson Brigadier General Jean Fajardo said that siblings Jose and Elakim Patidongan were extracted from a Southeast Asian country by operatives of the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group. They were brought back to the Philippines last July 22. Fajardo credited the capture of the Patidongan brothers to former CIDG Director Brigadier General Romeo Macapas, an intelligence officer who was also instrumental in the arrests of former Bamban Mayor Alice Guo and Kingdom of Jesus Christ founder Apollo Quiboloy.
DWDD National News.
For our weather update, up to 3 tropical cyclones may enter or form within the Philippine area of responsibility this August. According to Pagasa, a low-pressure area located 955 kilometers east-northeast of extreme northern Luzon has a high chance of developing into a tropical cyclone within 24 hours. While it is not expected to directly affect the country, Pag-asa said it may briefly enter the PAR before moving out. Should it intensify into a tropical storm, it will be named Fabian. Pag-asa added that cloud clusters east of Mindanao are also being observed for potential development into a cyclone. If further cyclones develop, they will be named Goryo and Huaning.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And that concludes today's broadcast, and thank you for tuning in, especially to our audience on AFP Radio, DWDD's Facebook page. Be sure to join and catch us again next week for more stories and updates, same time and same station. Once again, this is Rofh Suzon-Abay for AFP Community News, one AFP for stronger Philippines.
Behold the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rofh Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Ito ang DWDD 1134 kHz AM. Balita, impormasyon at musika. Ito ang DWDD AFP Radio. Boses ng Kawal Pilipino.
Kayo ay nakatutok sa DWDD AFP Radio. Kami po ay kasapi ng KBP, Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas.